Hello people and welcome to the channel. As a sword run enthusiast, I've always wondered how it would be to hardcore Nuzlocke, my favorite Pokémon game, with only first form Pokémon. Well, here's a video of me trying to do it. Not gonna spend a lot of time with the rule set. It's basically a standard hardcore Nuzlocke. On the other hand, it's very important to specify which Pokémon I'll exactly have access to, or rather those I won't be allowed to use. If a Pokémon is part of an evolution line, then I'll only be able to use the first form. And if that's not available, well, too bad. So stuff like Meryl and Pikachu are off the table. Now, I could consider a Pokémon with no evolution a first form as well, if I wanted to play this on easy mode. And I do not. So goodbye Skarmory, Sableye, Tropius, etc. Is this hard enough now? I say it is not. So for this challenge, I will play without EVs. Careful, because this is not the same as no EV training. Before every major battle, I'm going to open my save file with PK hacks and manually remove all the EVs I gained. Man, this is gonna be brutal. Speaking of PK hacks, I should mention that I'll use it to skip all the grinding as well. If you want to know more about how I use PK hacks and how I skip grinding, I have a video that better explains my approach. For those who don't care and just want to see how this challenge goes, let's jump into the run. First thing, we need to choose the starter. I'm gonna pick Trico. It's a good and guaranteed rocks encounter, and I believe it might have some uses in the very late game. An argument could be made for picking Torchic, which becomes a monster once you get your hands on the flamethrower TM. At any rate, there's no doubt Mudkip is the worst one. Without the ground part, Mudkip is just another water type with a bad stat distribution on top of it. Anyway, there's no challenge in the few mandatory battles before Roxanne, so let's just see the encounters. Route 102 gives me a Poochyena. Delaying this encounter would have been better, but I guess I needed a Poochyena dupe anyway. And by the way, how does Wally always get a Rolls? The guy is just too lucky. I've rarely seen Rolls in this route, let alone a level 5 one. On Route 104 I find a Wingull. It's decent and it means I'll have a guaranteed Zigzagoon from the route North Oldale Town. Even if I find that Zigzagoon with spectacular AVs, I don't see myself using one. But pickup is awesome for early Ultra Balls and Infinite White Herbs later on. Petalburg Woods is extremely generous with a Taillow encounter, and I'd say we got pretty lucky. This is probably one of the best teams I can get before Rustboro, if anything because I managed to dodge a Wurmple encounter. Now let's ditch Balesi to Trico and challenge the first gym leader. Imagine being Roxanne here. A new challenger approaches to claim your badge. As the battle starts, he sends out a mere Poochyena. With a self-important smirk in your face, you command Geodude to Rock Tomb that poor excuse for a Pokémon. But then, your opponent switches and calls a Sceptile out of the ball. Then it's just a Trico. Your team getting swept by Leaf Blade was already flashing before your eyes. But Trico is manageable. Sure, it has the type advantage, it will heal back to full with Absorb and you can say goodbye to your Geodudes. But you feel pretty confident about your Nosepass. Trico is very frail and your AI power tells you that it's a mild one, so you can inflict some serious damage and even slow it down with Rock Tomb. And thanks to that solid 90 base special defense, there's no way your race can feign to a Bullet Seed. You already feel the win in the bag. The HP is getting a bit low. Not a problem, you have potions and the Oranberry will help too. But when confidence becomes arrogance, that's when the universe is most likely to punch you in the stomach. Nothing could have saved you from that 5 hits plus crit Bullet Seed. Maybe you could have trained harder, but you didn't. All those naive trainers with nothing but Wurmples and dreams made you feel like the strongest out there. Your small world fell into pieces, and now, with an empty stare, you have to recite the standard gym leader speech and give away the Stone Badge. Well, goodbye Roxanne. It was nice sweeping your team after all those tedious battles you've put me through lately. In all seriousness, that 5-hit Bullet Seed was something else, but I did play the battle in a way that was very difficult for me to lose a Pokémon. Moving on, I have 2 guaranteed encounters to get. One is Whismur from the so-called Whismur Cave, and the other one is Aeron from Granite Cave, which is guaranteed thanks to the Repel trick and the fact that Sableye is not an eligible encounter. While I do that, let's talk about Broly. The fight by itself can be trivial. I have a Taillow, and even given its below average attack, I can sweep him with 3 guts boosted wing attack. But Broly's Makuhita has a Citrus Berry, and it would be incredibly useful to steal it with Thief. The TM is now available in Slate Pot. On the other hand, using Thief against Makuhita would expose me to a critical hit, or even worse, to a devastating bulk up setup. After way too much thinking, I eventually let this decision be taken by my Route 116 encounter. No need to go too much into detail, but if I happen to catch an Abra, then I'll delay Broly and I'll steal the Citrus Berry. If, like in this case, I get the more common Ninkeda, then I'll just have to give up the Citrus Berry. So, wing attack sweep it is. I mean, I already told you what's gonna happen. Taillow is such a great early encounter, I wonder how it will do later in the game. Swallow is very well known for being a monster once you teach it Facade, but I'm not sure that will be enough to make Taillow relevant in the late game. At least it's safe to say it's gonna be my best quick attack user thanks to the stab and guts. Now let's finish off Broly and do a couple of errands before leaving Dewford for good. Namely, I need to get the Old Rod and fish 1 Pokémon in Dewford and 1 from Route 106. Magikarp and Tentacool are all I can get. Without evolving, Magikarp is as worthless as it can get, but at least I'm certainly not gonna cry over missing a modest Gyarados. Tentacool, on the other hand, is a very important encounter. It's hands down the best early water type. Good base special attack, excellent special defense, and it gets Bubble Beam over Water Gun. Anyway, I think we spent enough time in this island, time to move on. Let me just heal my Pokémon, you never know. Oh come on, really? I heard that for speedrunners, finding shiny Pokémon is an annoyance more than anything. Well, getting the Pokeros in a run I decided to play without EVs completely is undoubtedly the most unlucky lucky occurrence that has ever happened to me in Pokémon. Also, this is the 3rd time I get the Pokeros since I started to upload in this channel, and that has to be way above the average. Now, this time it won't be useful gameplay wise, but we can still take it as a good omen. Full of hopes and dreams, we can cheerfully continue our journey. We'll still have to deal with the occasional mood breaker, I'm talking about you, May, but our beloved Taillow can once again perform his wing attack sweep. A 3-act story that never ceases to amaze. Anyway, we all know May is not the one we should worry about. But before talking about Watson, let's take our Route 117 encounter, which is guaranteed to be an Oddish. Thanks to Sweet Scent, Oddish can be a reliable Powders user, not to mention it has a decent special defense and resists electric moves. Richie Moville also give access to the Gain Cornet TMs. Flamethrower, Ice Beam and Thunderbolt are certainly going to improve the offensive power of my weak Pokémon. Back to the Watson topic, the main issue is that I don't really have a ground type. Or do I? Because I made fun of this Pokémon before, but Ninkeda is indeed a ground type. And while it's not a good Pokémon, this might be its only chance to shine. Ninkeda's defense is great and can be boosted by Harden. Leech Life can be useful to regain HP, and thanks to Compound Ice, I can for once make good use of the Fury Cutter move tutor in Verdanturf. So let's take a look to the team. Not gonna lie, I'm worried. Unless you have a Marshtomp, Watson is known to be a run killer, and let's be real, our team does look pathetic. We'll have to face 2 fully evolved Pokémon, and my strongest team member is Aaron with 330 base stats. Well, let the Ninkeda redemption arc begin. I hope. Watson leads with Voltorb, and for once I'm not worried about it. My Taillow has 45 HP to make sure Voltorb goes for the kill with an electric move. This makes the Ninkeda switch perfectly safe. Now Voltorb has 2 options. A. It blows up. B. It starts a rollout. Either way, I'm sending out Aaron. Rollout might become an issue if Voltorb manages to connect all 5 of them, but given the fact I'm spamming Muzzle Up, I highly doubt that's gonna happen. If Rollout misses, I can switch back to Ninkeda on the potential electric move and then repeat. But seems like I won't have to bother switching. No Guard Voltorb, everybody! And not only it didn't miss a single rollout, it also got a crit with one of them. At least not with the last one, I guess. Well, now I'm in trouble. I really needed that HP on Aaron. While half of my team gets a level up off of that stupid Voltorb, let me explain what my plan was. The Nincada I got can reasonably win against Electric and Manectric thanks to an Hutton setup and its immunity to electric moves. But to do that I need to get rid of Magneton first, otherwise it will come out after Electric, ruining the entire plan. My idea was to spam Roar until Magneton was dragged out. The risk would have been minimum since Electric and Manectric like to set up on the first turn. But with such a low HP I can't follow my original plan. So prepare yourself to one of the most scuffed Watson battles you've ever seen. Now that the Nincada sweep is off the table, I might as well use it to deal with Electric and maybe lower Magneton's HP by a good amount with a full power Fury Cutter. In the off chance of some incredible RNG against Magneton, before starting to attack I decided to fully set up my defense while also lowering Electric's accuracy with Sand Attack. Due to Electric's Leer, this took an ungodly amount of time, so I'm gonna skip it almost completely. As I finally start building up the Fury Cutter damage, let me show you what Bulbapedia says about this move. If Fury Cutter misses, the user is switched out, or the player uses an item, the power will reset to normal. So you would think that thanks to Compound Eyes, there is no way to reset the damage. Well, apparently losing the turn to Paralysis counts as missing. Great. Just great. Leech Life heals back some HP, but now all I can do against Magneton is Sand Attack and hope in some good RNG. Yeah, a Supersonic Miss is a good start, too bad it's followed by a full para. Okay, another miss, and here's the first Sand Attack. I could continue to describe every turn of this exciting duel, and probably hearing me suffer live would have been entertaining, but for this video's sake I will speed this up, and I'll just say that Paralysis and Confusion allowed me to land no more than a second Sand Attack right before switching. How fantastic! Oddish was the only sensible choice here, and since the Sonic Boom on the Switch didn't miss, I have to hope my Sleep Powder doesn't miss as well. I really would have preferred to use Sweet Scent first, but... okay, I got it. Now, please stay asleep while I send out Whismur to flamethrower you to death. Sleep is 1 to 5 turns long, getting 3 would be optimal. Come on. Come on. Yes. But we're not out of the woods yet. Not at all. Manectric is the one with the sweeping potential. Once it howls enough times, my team is dead. I can't afford to improvise, I need to come up with some sort of plan. I got something in mind, and while I'll have to run some risks, it's honestly not so bad. First of all, I send out Oddish, expecting a howl. That's exactly what happens, and now I need to use Sweet Scent. A second howl is concerning, but I'm still out of kill range, and now I can reliably use Sleep Powder. Unless I get absurdly terrible Sleep RNG, I should be fine. Maybe. From here it's reasonably safe to send out Trico and use Screech. Remember that thanks to Sweet Scent it's impossible for me to miss the move. Manectric didn't wake up right away, so I can afford to use Screech again. And if it stays asleep one more turn, like this, then I can go for a quick attack. This is honestly as good as it can get. Manectric is at -4 defense, it has its HP lowered by quite a bit, and even if it wakes up, it goes for Thunder Wave. Now, there are two things that can happen. 1. Manectric uses Quick Attack even if I'm not in kill range. 2. It sets up another howl. Either way, I'm sending out Whismur. If it goes for the Quick Attack, I'll have to sack it the turn after. But I'm prepared to let it go. And good thing I am, because a critical hit one-shots it. First death of the run. Should be the only one for this battle though. Tailo is barely out of kill range, and thanks to the defense drops, it will be able to finish off Manectric with Quick Attack. Oh no. I didn't consider I would take the poison damage right off the bat. Oh, this is so stupid. I can't even switch out. Manectric might not go for Quick Attack, there's a chance it goes for Shockwave. Okay, Tailo, I need you to perform. You can live this. Here's the Quick Attack. Come on. Oh, this one hurts. And it's completely on me. What's worse, the battle is not over yet. I have an idea. Let's send out Oddish. I'm out of key range, so it might use Howl here, and Quick Attack is fine too as long as it doesn't crit again. Instead of Sleep Powder, I go for Stun Spore. The reason is that a one-turn sleep would result in a wipe. And now, unless everything I know about the Pokémon Emerald AI is a lie, Manectric should prioritize Quick Attack over Shockwave even if it sees a kill with both. So I'm gonna send out Aeron. Please? Tell me I'm not wrong? I guess we'll never know. All that matters is that Aeron can outspeed and use Headbutt for the kill. It's over. It's finally over. Hey, this is probably the longest time I've ever spent on the Watson battle. If you were starting to suffer, trust me, that's nothing compared to what I've been through playing this. The Dynamo badge is mine, and isn't that sad? Tailo wants to evolve. Sorry little one, but you know the rules. You are dead now. Okay, had to take a break after that battle. The moral boost I got from the Pokéros is long gone now, and up ahead I see nothing but terrible and dangerous fights. But first, let's get some new encounters. Since Meryl is not an eligible Pokémon, I have a guaranteed Numel from Route 112. I can hardly find a use for Camerupt, I doubt Numel will surprise me. Then, after going through the Fury Path with a Repel, I reach Route 113 where I catch a Slugma, also a guaranteed encounter. Now that I got Numel and Slugma, I can go back to the Fear Path, where I'm probably gonna find a Coughing. Yeah, here it is. A timid Coughing with a terrible attack IV makes explosion strategies a whole lot less tempting. But that's something I wouldn't consider until the late game anyway. For now, I'm happy to have a Pokémon with good special coverage. Anyway, let's skip ahead to the Maxi battle. Not much to say here, it's fairly easy to play around Maxi's team. Too bad my Tentacool has Liquid Ooze instead of Clear Body, that would have prevented an annoying accuracy drop from Mightyana's Sand Attack, but even if I miss right away, I can't really complain, since I got a critical hit to compensate. Mightyena is barely out of potion range and I hit, so it goes down without causing much trouble. I can't afford to risk missing against Camerupt, a Magnitude could easily destroy Tentacool, so I switch in Wingull. Here's the Magnitude, and now a couple of Water Guns will do the trick. Maxi will make sure to waste as much time as possible with his super potions, but eventually the Hydrophobic Camel goes down. Last is Zubat, and I have a special treatment for it. I don't know how good is Conceited Coughing for Hoenn Nuzlockes, but I think it's great. Its defense is respectable, and it can really make good use of the game core TMs. Speaking of which, a massive Thunderbolt one-shots Zubat. With Maxi defeated, between me and Flannery there are only a couple of encounters. First, let's get the one in the Jagged Pass. It's a 50-50 between Machop and Spoink, and I am very glad to find a Machop. Now, not only I got the best encounter, but this Machop is also incredibly good. With Guts and a 31 attack AV, this guy is gonna hurt. The other encounter is the Wynot Egg in Lavarage. Wynot can be useful for some kind of emergency plan, but not sure how viable this one will be. Its IVs are very bad, and I can't even EV train it to make it work properly. As I get through the puzzle in Flannery's gym, let's take a look at the team that's hopefully going to beat her. At first glance, these Pokémon look, let's say, unimpressive. The upcoming fight could go south very easily, and the fact there's the emergency Wynot in the party gives that away immediately. Well, let's see if we get out of this alive. As I said before, Tentacool is the best early water type available. The one I got is mostly great. Assassinature further boosts its already massive special defense, and its IVs are pretty decent, except for the special attack one, which is 4 out of 31. Now, I know many people say that IVs and natures are not so important, but in this case a low special attack might lead to an excruciating defeat. Numel and Slugma are almost guaranteed to die in one hit. I say almost because Slugma had a 1 in 16 chance to survive, but the odds of one-shotting Camerupt are much lower. We're talking about a 30% chance. What's worse, I don't have much of a choice. And while I'd have a lot to say about my alternative plans in case of missing the Bubble Beam high roll, I don't think there's any need to go further into detail. One-shotting Emerald is huge, but that wasn't the final boss. Torkoal is scary to say the least, and I have no way to play this out without risking a crit or two. So it's important to know which Pokémon I can afford to lose. And surprisingly enough, Tentacool is one of those. Bubble Beam will deal a good amount of damage, but that means I potentially have to tank a Body Slam, which thankfully didn't crit, but it did proc their paralysis. After the Oran Berry heal, I'm still dead to a high roll Body Slam, and I'm sure Overheat won't be selected, so it's time to switch to Aron. Despite a gentle nature, Aron is always dead to Overheat, so I want to send Tentacool back out to tank it. Once again, Tentacool managed to dodge the crit, too bad Torkoal gets rid of the special attack drop thanks to a White Herb. Even if it's now random move from Torkoal, I don't intend to sack Tentacool like this. Not yet at least. So I send out Magikarp. Who would have thought? Magikarp is actually coming through for me. Even if Torkoal doesn't overhit on the switch, after the Oran Berry Body Slam is simply too weak to get the kill, so Flannery will always use overhit, this time actually crippling her Pokémon's special attack. Not over yet, but it's safe to say that I have the upper hand now. All I have to be careful about are Flannery's Hyper Potions. To avoid triggering one, I send out Wingull and chip some HP with Water Gun. I honestly don't care too much about Wingull, so maybe the play was to sack it to send out Machop safely, but it's still a fast Ice Beam user and a Flying type, which might come in handy later. So let's do the risky switch and send out Machop. I'm only dead to overhit crit anyway, and yeah, Body Slam can be selected as well. No risk of paralysis either. I'm already poisoned, so Guts is active, and thanks to the boosted attack, a low kick is enough to take down Torkoal for the win. Kind of an intense battle if you ask me, and very lucky too. I can't believe Magikarp was the only one I had to sacrifice. Between Flannery and Norman, there are only the gym trainers in Petalburg and the desert encounters. It's not important to see the trainers of course, but the encounters are all gonna matter for the next gym fight. From the desert itself, thanks to the repel trick, I can guarantee a Cacnea. An excellent Pokémon, if anything due to its access to Leech Seed. Then, from the Mirage Tower, I have a 50-50 between Trapinch and Sandshrew. Honestly, I don't care too much about either of them, but at least the Sandshrew I got has a great nature and a fighting type hidden power that might come in handy against Norman. On top of the tower, I take the Claw Fossil and revive it in Rust Burrow. Anorith is a terrific Pokémon. It has shell armor and with its typing and moveset, it's just fantastic for the Norman fight. Speaking of which, I think we can jump right into it. Norman leads with Spinda and I intend to use Leech Seed on it right away. Unsurprisingly, Cacnea is lower and gets confused by a Tito Dance, but a Persian Berry makes sure I don't have to worry about that. Now that Spinda is seeded, I switch to Aron on the guaranteed Anchor. Since Aron absolutely walls Spinda and doesn't even have to worry about the little damage it deals thanks to the constant healing, I can use this occasion to set up my defense. Confusion can be annoying, but the boosted defense will keep at bay the self-inflicted damage. And with a little bit of luck, Aron snaps out of confusion at the perfect moment and lands a headbutt on Spinda. Leech Seed completes the job and now Slaking will come out, the only Pokémon in Norman's team with a super effective move for Aron. Counter doesn't deal damage by itself, but it still counts as a fighting move. Anyway, here's something you don't see every day. As Slaking comes out, it lofts around right away. That's because the Leech Seed took down Spinda, so Slaking was actually sent out at the very end of the previous turn, which makes this its Laughing turn. I didn't consider this as I was playing, so I had to wait a couple of turns to make the Anorith switch at the right moment. What makes Anorith so great, apart from shell armor of course, is its access to Protect, which turns Slaking into a joke. What I'm gonna do is harden 2 times and then Rock Smash until I get 2 defense drops. The hardens are necessary because I'm gonna have to send out Machop on Slaking's active turn, and thanks to the defense boost, Slaking won't select the very dangerous Facade and will go for Feint Attack instead. I mean, it could use counter as well. So far so good, it's time to low kick Slaking for the kill. Thanks to the defense drops, I don't even need to enter the battle with Guts active. Now, as much as I'd love to simply sweep the rest of the team with Machop, without EV training it's impossible for me to outspeed anything, so I'll have to limit myself to a seismic toss before switching. Aeron is the obvious choice and it should be able to slowly finish the battle by itself. The main goal is to not trigger an hyper potion, so let's use Headbutt first, and then hope we can land an Iron Tail. The move is rather inaccurate, but it's so powerful it's worth using in some occasions. Linoon is last and it's the only real problem. If it uses Belly Drum and I miss Iron Tail, I might get in trouble. Not even Aeron can tank a +6 attack / crit that easily. But seems like we won't have to worry about that. My Iron Tail connects on the first try, so in the end Linoon's Belly Drum only led to a faster victory for me. With the balance badge in the bag, we now have a long trip ahead of us. 4-3 is not exactly around the corner. Before making for the next city though, there are a lot of new encounters to get. Let's start with Route 118, which is now accessible thanks to Surf. Since I already have a Zigzagoon, Electrike is guaranteed here. With its good base special attack and speed, I'm sure this Electrike will be a trustworthy offensive electric type, more so considering it has a rush nature and an excellent special attack IV. Now that I have an Electrike, I can go back to Route 110 to catch a Golpim, the only eligible Pokémon left in the route. Not sure if I'll use it, but hey, it can learn Explosion from the move tutor in Passivity Log, so who knows. While I'm in the area, I also get my new Mobile encounter. It's a 50-50 between Voltorb and Magnemite, but we all know I'm not getting the Steel type. Somehow it's always Voltorb. With that done, it's time to get what will be my main Water type for the rest of the game. With 400 base stats and access to Water Spout, you can expect to see Wilmer in most of my future teams. But we're not done yet. From Route 115, the one north Rustboro, I can catch a Swablu. Not much to say about it. On the other hand, I have strong feelings about the Lotad from Route 114. Since it's the only available Pokémon that learns Rain Dance by level, I was excited to use one for the Tate and Liza battle. But this is like the worst Lotad I could have possibly run into. With a nature that hinders the special defense and a very low IV on top of it, there's no way I can use this Pokémon. Really goes to show that natures and IVs can make a world of a difference when you can count on EV training. But I digress. The Carvanha from Route 119 is gonna be our last encounter before May. We'll have the chance to talk about this Carvanha later. For now, let's just see the battle against the rival. As always, it's fairly easy to prepare for this fight. Electrike can make short work of Pelipper, and Combusken has such a terrible moveset that the only thing I can be worried about is Sign Attack. Well, not even that, since Wingull has Keen Eye. I almost feel bad for this grown-up chicken. Alone, under a downpour, getting beaten by a seagull with no chance to fight back. While the rain can at least boost Lumbre's speed due to Swift Swim, its moveset is even worse, so Machop gracefully puts it out of its misery with a single critical hit. Now, I know the past couple of minutes were pretty much all about new encounters, but bear with me just a little longer. Since there's nothing stopping me from going to Mount Pyre, I head there to catch a Duskull from the summit. And on the way, I also get the Shuppet from Route 121. Ghost types are amazing in Nuzlocke, and especially Duskull is considered a great encounter, although its usefulness is drastically reduced by the fact that, you know, I can't evolve it. At this point, we really don't care about anything but Winona. As you can see, the team I'm gonna use features some new faces, and I'm curious to see how they will perform. So, let's see the battle. Swablu is such a weak lead, I can exploit it to switch around my Pokémon a couple of times so that they will all get a level up as soon as I get rid of the Fluffy Bird. The only risk is Perry Song, but even then, after sending Aeron and Electrike, I'll still have time to kill it with Thunderbolt before Winona switches it out. An extra level is always useful, but Aeron and Duskull are the ones that really need it. At level 34, Duskull learns Curse, we're gonna make good use of it, and Aeron gets Protect, which is very useful since I still don't have access to the TM. Seeing my electric type, Winona will now send out her Altaria to Earthquake me to death, which makes for a perfectly safe switch to Duskull. Thank you, Levitate. Now it's time to use Curse. A crit from Alteria would have caused me to die after cutting half of my HP, but this illegal dragon was so kind to waste its turn with Dragon Dance instead. It looks very dangerous to let Alteria freely use one of the best setup moves in the game, but truth be told, its moveset is really exploitable. So once I inflict the curse, I can switch back and forth between Aaron and Wingull. Alteria will always see a kill on Aaron with Earthquake, and even if Alteria's attack gets boosted a couple of times, Aaron can barely feel its Aerial Ace. Not to mention, I just learned Protect to make this stall even easier. The one thing I need is timing. Alteria will die eventually, and when that happens, I want to have the right Pokémon up front. That Pokémon is gonna be Wingull. Tropius is up next, so hitting it with an Ice Beam right away is a smart thing to do. I mean, it's still a Wingull, I can't expect it to one-shot anything, but at least Winona won't use her second Hyper Potion yet. Due to Tropius Chlorophyll, during harsh sunlight I lose the speed advantage and I might die to a crit, so I decided to switch out Wingull for Slugma. I'll have to risk a crit anyway, but I much rather lose Slugma than one of the few flying types I have left. Thankfully no crit, and a Flamethrower takes down Tropius. With only Pelipper and Skarmory left, it's very easy to end the battle with Electrike. Thunderbolt won't be enough to one-shot Skarmory, but it's only a matter of time until I win. Pretty smooth battle, I'd say. After all, Slugma is the only one that realistically risked to faint, and that would have been a more than affordable loss. There is a long and uninteresting section between Winona and Tate and Liza, where I have to deal with both Team Aqua and Magma. The only fight that deserves an highlight here is the one against Maxi. My Tiena is annoying due to Intimidate, but my Machop can still safely win the 1v1 thanks to the Guts boost and a Persim Berry in case of Swagger. I won't be able to one-shot, but I'll for sure trigger a Super Potion, and that's not gonna be enough to save my Tiena from my second attack. Crobat is next, and Aaron is the perfect Pokémon to wall it. Confuse Ray and Bite might lead to some terrible RNG scenario though, not to mention my damage isn't stellar either, and Maxi's second Super Potion might drag the battle for too long. So what I'm aiming to do here is to chip some HP with Hidden Power, which ironically is of the Steel type, and then when Crobat is barely out of potion range, I'll use Iron Tail. It might seem like I'm only trying to make my life harder, but after the Iron Tail I can freely switch to Electrike while Maxi heals, and then Crobat will still be low enough to die in a single Thunderbolt. Thankfully I got pretty much perfect RNG here. Crobat used Bite more than expected, and I didn't flinch even once. Anyway, Camerupt is last and it's easy to predict an Earthquake, so I switched to Wingull. Wingull is not usable as a water type since it still only has Water Gun, but it's good to guarantee I'm not switching Wailmer on a potential critical Earthquake. And at this point I can just surf for the win. Bye bye Maxi, see you later at the Space Center. Now it's time to prepare for Tate and Liza. We don't care about May, I know, but let me at least use the battle as a background while I spoil the upcoming gym fight a little bit. See, I'm about to do something very stupid, and as I was playing, I couldn't immediately realize what I was doing wrong. But you got my heads up, so let me know if you notice my mistake right away. Okay, without further ado, let's go and fight the Psychic Twins. Claydol and Zato are first, and I lead with Machop and Wynot. Unsurprisingly, both of my opponents see a kill with Psychic on my frail fighting type, so it's a perfect moment to use Protect. While Tate and Liza basically waste their first turn, Wynot is free to charm Claydol. With that done, I can expect Tate and Liza to do the same thing again, so it's time to switch. Carvanha is immune to Psychic, and you can expect Coughing to be the new easy target since, thanks to the attack drop, Claydol won't try to use Earthquake to kill Carvanha. Of course, Coughing has Protect to assure me a free turn. I'll use it to slow down Xatu with Scary Face. And now let's switch again, this time Poochyena and Machop. Just like before, my Dark type is immune to Psychic, and the other Pokémon will act as a bait. I think we can speed this up now. Maybe it's a cheap way to win, but in a Nuzlocke like this, where any fight could very easily snowball out of control, I don't feel bad about exploiting the AI as much as possible. Anyway, Once I got a second scary face on Xatu, I can start to use Crunch on Claydol. Poochyena has Crunch as well, but Claydol has such a massive special defense, it would only end up triggering an Hyper Potion. So I'm only going to use Corvanas. I'm not sure what Pokémon is supposed to come out after Claydol, but I have a precise plan whether it's Solrock or Lunaton. And it's the latter. Well, Lunaton is easy to deal with since, just like Xatu, it only has Psychic as its damaging move. Let's do the usual switch and... oh, Xatu didn't go for Psychic. How weird. Okay, not too much of a problem, it shouldn't be able to make use of the boosted special attack anyway. The special defense increase might be annoying, but I'll think about it later. For now, I'll just protect with Machop and Scary Face the Lunaton. Lunaton goes for Psychic as expected, and... really? Another Calm Mind? Okay, but if Xatu doesn't attack, that might be a problem. It has Confuse Ray to mess me up, and Sunny Day would help Solrock immensely. So let's use Taunt while I switch in Carvanha. Sorry Xatu, no Sunny Day for you. I better take care of Xatu as soon as possible, I don't like the way it's behaving. Let's use Crunch on it while Poochyena makes sure Lunaton doesn't pull off some shenanigans with Hypnosis. Man, Taunt is a great move to have sometimes. Wait, Struggle? Oh no. That was scary. That's why Xatu was being weird, it's out of Psychics. That's so obvious, it's insane how I was so close to lose Carvanha and potentially the whole battle for such a stupid reason. Good thing it didn't high roll with that crit. At least, thanks to the recoil and rough skin, I should now be able to take down Xatu before it gives any more trouble. I also make sure to focus the same slot with Poochyena's Scary Face, so that when Solrock comes out, it gets slowed right away. All these speed drops are needed due to Carvanha and its speed hindering nature, otherwise Xatu would have been long dead before using Struggle. Now that both of my Pokémon outspeed Solrock, I can double Crunch it for the kill, and then Titaniza will have no way to inflict damage to my Dark types, so it's an automatic win. This battle was way more risky than expected. Given the length of the fight, I can't believe I overlooked the Psychic PP usage. Somehow, the death counter didn't go up, and I don't expect it to change because of Maxi or Archie. In fact, Maxi is a total pushover thanks to Wilmer, and Archie is not much of a threat either. Just like happened in the Maxi 2 fight, I can use Machop to counter Mightyena. Except that this time, after I hit it with Low Kick, Archie switches to Crobat. Smart switch, but it won't make a difference. Aron is once again perfect to wall it, and this time I'll make things a bit quicker thanks to Metal Sound. A not ideal RNG cost me an extra turn, but it's not important. What matters is to safely switch Voltorb on the healing turn and then Thunderbolt. I don't mean Thunderbolt the Crobat, I mean Thunderbolt the rest of the battle. Once the big purple vampire goes down, the other Pokémon won't even have the chance to attack. I must say, so far I'm having a lot of fun with this run. I feel like I'm putting to good use most of my encounters, which is not a common thing in a vanilla game. Speaking of encounters, I'll have to catch everything is left before facing one. It's time for me to concretely elaborate a plan for the Elite Four so that I will know what I can afford to sacrifice. First of all, from the Seafront Cavern where I fought Archie, I can catch a Zubat. A Pokémon that I highly doubt I'll use so late in the game, but it's essential to have a dupe if I want to guarantee a Spiel from Shoal Cave. Spiel can be an amazing Pokémon in specific situations, not to mention it's the only real Ice type available. Since I got the Master Ball from the Aqua hideout, I go back to the Magma hideout where I can catch a Geodude with it. It knows Self-Destruct, hence the Master Ball, and once it upgrades to Explosion, it could see some uses. An encounter I deliberately delayed until now is the one from Route 120. Thanks to the Super Rod, I am now guaranteed to get a Barboach. Someone's Magneton is not gonna have a good time, I tell you that. The Super Rod is also useful to get an Horsey from Route 134. I don't have really high hopes for this Pokémon, but if I happen to get one with a very good special attack, thanks to Swift Swim, it might actually be able to outspeed and decimate Drake's team. Surprise, surprise, this is not the Horsey of the legend. A Pokémon I can't see failing no matter the stats it Staryu. And while it has insane coverage, without access to Starmie stats it doesn't really matter, so I'm planning to use it for a completely different purpose. Now back to Peterborough, I can fish for a Corphish. I have mixed feelings about this Pokémon. On one hand, a Shell Armor Corphish might pull off some amazing Harden and Soulsden setups. On the other hand, I always get one with Hyper Cutter, and the fact this one literally has a perfect attack makes it sting even more. Bear with me a little longer, we're almost done. I have 2 underwater encounters to get, and without Relicanth available, all is left is Chinchou and Clamperl. Hey, that's guaranteed to have Shell Armor. Too bad it's Clamperl. But Chinchou is a good Pokémon. It's surprisingly fast, faster than Electrike actually, and it has a very unique typing. Before we finally move on, the last encounter, probably the most important. Thanks to the Repel trick, I know I can find a Doduo in the southwest area of the Safari Zone. The problem is that in this specific area I can't use the Pokéblock trick to guarantee it doesn't flee. Thankfully, it only took 2 Safari Balls to catch it. I have a lot to say about this Pokémon, but we'll have time to talk about it later. For now, let me show you the Pokémon I'm gonna use for one. Chinchou is the only new face here, and looks like Trico and Nincada are making a comeback. Let's see if this team has what it takes to defeat the last Hoenn gym leader. Juan leads with an embarrassing Lavdisc, and they plan to exploit the weakness of his first Pokémon. Cacnea has spikes, and in order for this to work, it's vital to use it 3 times. This way, every Pokémon that comes out will be damaged for 25% of its maximum HP. It's annoying that Lavdisc can easily confuse me, but I trust Leech Seed to keep me healthy while also dealing constant damage. Now, in this battle, you'll see me running more risks than usual. That's because I know exactly what Pokémon I'm gonna use for the rest of the game, so I don't care too much about the others. I have to say, I wasn't prepared to such a huge self-inflicted damage. Probably I should have switched to get rid of the confusion. But in the end things worked out, and once I had all 3 spikes laying at the feet of my opponent, I finished off Lavdisc with a Nidolarm. My pure grass type is going to bait Celio because it has Aurora Beam. It's a perfect moment to send out Chinchou. A jolly nature makes a bit harder to use this Chinchou offensively, but I don't care about that. I just need to paralyze the Celio with Thunder Wave and then chip away some HP with Water Gun. Body Slam's damage is a bit concerning, but at this point Chinchou served its main purpose, not to mention that Body Slam gives me a free switch to Duskull. I bet many of you expected to see a Pokémon like Duskull in the Elite Four team, but no, this is gonna be its last battle. I made sure to have less than half HP so that using Curse on Celio will make me faint, ending the turn immediately. Chinchou is back out and the curse damage brings Celio down to yellow. I know it's about to use Body Slam and I don't like to risk a crit on my low HP Cacnea, but I need to do the switch now. Oh, well, Paralysis coming through for me, I appreciate it. Thanks to that little bit of Water Gun damage, the curse puts Celio in potion range, so I now have a free turn to set up a Sandstorm. The Sandstorm damage along with the curse is enough to guarantee I can kill Celio with a Nidolarm, and I'm faster due to Paralysis, so there's nothing to be worried about. The only other Pokémon with a nice move is Kindra, and if you want someone to blame for this cumbersome start, look no further than this infamous double team spammer. The spikes and the Sandstorm deal a good amount of damage, and now it's time for Nincada to make its comeback. Let this be the proof that I hold no grudges to a Pokémon that underperformed. RNG was mean to my Nincada. There's no one to blame, really. Anyway, I need to sack this disappointing Pokémon in order to send out Voltorb safely. Well Juan, I hope you like fireworks, because my Voltorb is about to show you some. Thanks to the long setup and a Seed Scarf, Explosion is guaranteed to kill Kindra, and while this fight has cost me 3 deaths, I'm still pretty happy with the result. The rest of the battle is just Trico using Giga Drain on the remaining 2 Pokémon. Now this is a real comeback. With Giga Drain, Trico is a perfectly viable Pokémon, and I'm planning to bring it with me even into the Elite Four. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. For now, we should just be happy about collecting our last badge. We technically have one last encounter to get in Victory Road, but only Makuhita is available and I don't need it. So all I'm gonna show from Victory Road is the battle against Wally. Wally's team is actually pretty dangerous if you don't prepare properly, but I have all the Pokémon I need to get a safe win. Altaria is first and Speel can easily one-shot it with Ice Beam. Such a good way to make an entrance, but that's gonna be it for this Pokémon. Roselia is second and I made sure to go into the battle with some HP missing to guarantee a grass move on the Doduo switch. Doduo is one of the very few Pokémon that learns Drill Peck by level, and believe me when I say we are gonna make good use of it. A single hit is more than enough to take down Roselia and the Shell Bell heals back some HP. Next is Magneton, and as I was foreshadowing, a certain Barboach is going to take good care of it. Doesn't matter if I have a calm nature, Magneton is legally obliged to die from the strongest ground move in the game. At this point, the only threat in Wally's team is Delcatty, surprisingly. I mean, the real problem is Gardevoir, but as long as Delcatty doesn't pull off some absurd assist shenanigans, I'm sure I'll be fine. So, with what might seem like an extremely unnecessary waste of time, I dropped Delcatty's accuracy all the way down to -6 with Mudslap before switching to Chinchou. And yes, I know Feint Attack cannot miss, but that's not the reason I got through all that trouble. Once Chinchou uses Thunder Wave, I can finally switch to Coffin. Imagine if now Delcatty uses Assist, picks the move Psychic, and hits me with a critical hit. At that point, I couldn't even be mad about it, it's clear things were not meant to be. But none of that happened, and now, thanks to the paralysis, I can outspeed and finish off Delcatty. Man, I'm growing more and more paranoid about Assist. I feel like one of these days I'm going to lose to Wally cause of that move. Anyway, even if it looks silly to face Wally's Gardevoir with a Koffing, it's actually a completely safe play. For some reason, this Gardevoir is programmed to always use Future Sight on turn 1, no matter what, and therefore I'll get the chance to use Explosion. We had a great run, Koffing. Now it's time for you to rest in the PC. Okay, so we did it. I'm honestly surprised to reach the Pokémon League on the very first attempt, and 7 deaths are not so bad either, considering that most of them were planned. But the fights ahead are on a completely different level, and it wasn't easy to build a team able to at least have a chance to make it. So, will I be able to beat a Pokémon Emerald Nuzlocke with only first form Pokémon and no effort values? Let's start with Sydney and its Dark types. The level cap entering the Elite Four is 55 to match Drake's Salamence, and this is going to give me a sizable level advantage against Sydney. My Wilmer has 9 levels on Mightyena, and that, along with Mightyena's Rush Nature and the Mystic Water I'm holding, makes Waterspout just barely able to one-shot. Wilmer baits Cacturne, too bad I can't be 100% sure about the move he's going to use. Doduo will be fine anyway. It would be no problem to tank a Needle Arm, and even if Cacturne goes for Cotton Spore, I have a White Herb to get rid of the speed drop. Now, you might not be aware of this, because no one ever gets the chance to use a Doduo in a playthrough, but this Pokémon has very high attacking speed, at least for a base form. So Drill Peck murders Cacturne, and this time the level advantage wasn't as impactful. Next is Absol because it has Rock Slide, and this is where it becomes clear how difficult this Pokémon League is actually going to be. Absol is fast, it has Source Dance, and thanks to Aerialis and Rock Slide, it has a very solid coverage. So doesn't matter if it's only level 49, this Pokémon might very well sweep my fragile team. For now, let's send out Aron on the Rock Slide. On paper, it might seem like Aron is perfectly able to wall Absol and win the 1v1. But no, once Absol boosts enough its attack, not even my physical wall will be able to deal with it. Not to mention that Rock Slide is its best damaging move against me, so whenever it decides to attack, there's also a 30% chance to flinch and lose the turn. Yeah, even at +2, Absol damage is already huge. Luckily, I don't flinch and managed to set up a sunny day. The idea now is to use Roar. Please go for Source Dance. Very good. I don't care if you're at +4 attack, you're gonna have to switch. Roar was going to drag out either Crodant or Shiftry. I had a plan for both, but the former is much better. It's guaranteed to use Surf, so I can safely send out Trico and then, thanks to the strong Sunlight, a 1-turn Solar Beam takes down Crodant. And now back to Absol. I did chip away some HP with Aeron, but Solar Beam is still not enough to score the kill. And since Absol is about to use Aerial Ace, it's a good moment to send out my beloved Steel type again. This time I don't need to set up a Sunny Day, that was only needed for the Solar Beam against Crodant, so I'm only going to use Aerial Ace once before trying to force another switch with Roar. I say try because in case of Rock Slide I might flinch, but yet again Aeron is able to attack. This Pokemon is performing amazingly, I have to say. At this point I know I'll have to face Shiftry and I was really hoping to have some more HP left. But as long as I'm out of kill range, the right play is to stay in and use Aerial Ace. Shiftry loves to set up Double Team and use Swagger. Double Team is okay, Aerial Ace cannot miss, and if it uses Swagger, well, I have a Pressing Berry, so that would only give me a much needed attack boost. Sadly, we won't be seeing Swagger here, so my second Aerial Ace is going to trigger a full restore. What's worse, due to Torment I am forced to switch between my moves, and as a result Shiftry will get more than one occasion to actually attack. Yeah, just like that. And even if it looks like I could leave another hit, that was a very low extra sensory roll and another hit has a good chance to kill Aeron. I don't like to do this, but I need to send out a duo and hit a Drill Peck through the double teams. This is so risky. Come on, it only set up a couple of them. Oh, thank you. Losing the duo would have been game over. Now, I just said it. Losing the duo is game over. So while I have a chance to kill Absol with Drill Peck, there's no way I'm staying in. Still, I'll have to take a chance. I'm positive Absol is about to use Rock Slide, and I know for a fact that Trico can tank one if it doesn't crit. If Trico survives, it will for sure be an Overgrow, which means I don't need Solar Beam to kill Absol. Thanks to the Miracle Seed, Giga Drain should most likely be enough. And it is. Oh, talk about a stressing battle. If Sydney was so difficult, you can imagine how incredibly tough can be the fights up ahead. But I wouldn't be here without a plan. Phoebe is next and she's going to be the first to experience the wrath of my Doduo. Dusclops is first and I lead with Shuppet. Don't mind too much the fact it's poisoned, what counts is that Dusclops sees a kill with Shadow Punch and will go for it. Let's switch to Staryu. The damage is... well, it's more than I'd like, but it shouldn't matter. I am out of kill range, so Dusclops should go back on track and use Protect, giving me the chance to set up a substitute. The substitute will protect me from moves like Confuse Ray and Curse, and for Shadow Punch, I can use Camouflage to transform into a normal type. Yeah, you are not gonna land a single attack on me, Dusclops. At this point, all I have to do is wait. My moves have more PP than Dusclops, so I can stall this out until it starts using Struggle. And when that happens, I switch into Wailmer to use Growl. By the way, if you noticed any weird moveset change after the 7th gym, that's because, thanks to my Poochyena, I was able to farm infinite Husk kills from Wild Love Disc with Thief. Just felt the need to explain why Wailmer has Growl all of a sudden. Back to the battle, the goal is to lower Dusclops' attack as much as possible and then wait until the recoil brings it close to potion range. Whenever Wailmer is too low on HP, I can simply use Rest, so this is completely safe. Finally, once I finish this extremely long setup, I can send out the duo. The reason why I wanted to lower Dusclops' HP is made immediately clear. A Struggle Crit deals a lot of damage, and a second one would be more than enough to kill me. The recoil, triggering a full restore, gives me the chance to use Rest to recover, and a Chesto Berry wakes me up immediately. Now, let's use Rage. Rage has two effects. First, it deals a little amount of damage. Of course, I won't be able to hit Dusclops because it's a normal move, but its second effect is that if I get hit after using it, then my attack goes up by one stage. The max struggle crit roll is 74, so as long as my HP is higher than that, I'm not risking anything. The goal is to reach a +4. Once that happens, I can finally put this poor Dusclops out of its misery. Oh, and if you're wondering why I led with Shuppet, that's just because I needed it to reach level 56 and learn Grudge. With such a great attack boost, my Drill Peck is going to one-shot everything. Banette is a frail Pokémon, so it's not surprising to see it going down in one hit, but killing the second Dusclops just like that is quite impressive. Anyway, the second Elite Four member got swept by a Doduo. I think we can move on with a smile. Before facing Glacia, I'll have to adjust my moveset quite a bit, but you'll see that my strategy follows this same logic. The battle is a bit more risky, so let's see how it goes. It's very convenient how every member of the Elite Four except Sydney leads with a very exploitable Pokémon. Celio likes to waste its turns with Hail whenever it's possible and only has Body Slam and Ice Ball as its damaging options. So guess what, Staryu, thanks to its moveset, can very reliably PP-stall this Pokémon completely. Things might go wrong while I'm setting up the first couple of Cosmic Power, but then again, it would take 2 or 3 critical hits in a row to put me in real danger. And since nothing went terribly wrong at the start, I can easily complete the PP stall. I just have to be careful about keeping a substitute always up to avoid paralysis and mitigate potential critical hits. Recover will keep me healthy, and when Celio will eventually start using Ice Ball, I'll simply use Protect every other turn to prevent the damage from building up. So yeah, I think we can skip most of this. Once Celio has no moves left but Anchor, I send out Wilmer to use Growl. And as soon as Celio is at -6, I safely switch to the mighty Doduo. I said that this battle is a bit more risky, and here is why. I need to use Rage 4 times, and while a struggle crit would only deal up to 70, there's a real possibility that I kill Celio before I reach a +4 attack. All it takes is a crit with Rage, and if that happens, I'll have to resort to my plan B, which implies sacrificing a precious team member. Come on Celio, you can live this. Good girl. And now it's time to spam return for the win. So while the sweep happens, I think this is a good moment to actually complain about this Doduo. You see how important it is to keep it out of struggle crit range. The more damage I take, the more I might have to use rest, and once I burn my Chesto Berry, it becomes very risky to lose all those turns. So it's understandable that I was very disappointed when I found a Doduo with a defense AV of 3 and a nature that further hinders the physical defense. Not only that, but I also got one with the wrong ability. Runaway is completely worthless, while Early Bird would have synergized extremely well with Rest. And if this might seem overall not so impactful, wait until we face Drake and the champion. Sorry if I'm not paying attention to you, Glacia, but you just lost to a flying type as the ice type master of the region. You really don't deserve any. Anyway, let's move on to the next room. You can expect me to try another sweep with Doduo against Drake, but this time I won't have it easy. And as I keep moving left and right to lose HP on my Poison Shuppet, I want you to understand that my whole team is pretty much built around Doduo. A bad Doduo, as we've seen. Basically, I put all the eggs in one basket, and it's not even a good one. With this in mind, it's time to face the last and strongest Elite Four member. Drake leads with Shelgon, an easy Pokémon to wall with Aeron if it wasn't for Dragon Claw, which, don't forget, is a special move in Generation 3. But here's where Shuppet comes in. With only 68 HP, I'm sure Shelgon will go for the kill with Dragon Claw, so by using Grudge, I can trade my Pokémon's life for all its PP. And now I can send out Aeron to wall it. Aside from Protect, Double Edge and Rock Tomb are all Shelgon has, so after 3 Iron Defense, it will barely tickle me. I don't even need to wait until Shelgon uses all its Rock Tomb. Once it's out of Double Edge, I can send out Wailmer to spam Growl. Rock Tomb only has 10 PP, so it doesn't take long until it starts struggling. Oh, and apparently Rockhead doesn't prevent the recoil from struggle. Good to know. Anyway, let's get into the scary part. It's time to send out the duo. The average struggle damage is 12 and the max crit roll is 94. On top of that, I will need a +5 attack and 1 agility before starting the sweep. 93 HP means there's a slight chance to die the next turn, but I'm not using rest yet. Let's rage again, and even if I hate to see my HP down to 82, I know a low roll crit wouldn't kill me, not to mention I'll have to risk a crit eventually, so there's no better time than this. Oof, okay. Now I can finally rest and catch my breath. I'm only at +2, there are still 3 more to go. The first one is easy, no problem, and the second concerns me a bit, but it's reasonably safe. By constantly using rage, Shelgon is down to full restore range, and how would I love to use rest? Come to think of it, I should have exploited this moment to set up agility. Well, my bad. Anyway, without early bird to decrease the sleep turns, using rest would be detrimental, so there's only one thing to do. I have to risk a crit. Come on, please. Don't do it, Shelgon. I'm begging you. Okay, nice. Thank you. Now, get out of the way, I have a sweep to do. Salamence comes out, its Intimidate is the reason for that 1 extra rage against Shelgon, because even at +4 attack, no one gets the slightest chance to survive. Look at that. Seems like my duo will be matching the champion's ace after all. The more experience I can gain with the duo, the better. And Drake's dragons give it on, so by the end of the battle, I'll be close to level 59. The Elite 4 is defeated. I can't believe that the duo sweeps are working so well for me. Now, before facing the champion, I have to reset my EVs to 0. The effort values gained during the Elite 4 battles weren't relevant so far, but at this point they would be impactful. You know the strategy I'm going for. You also probably know Wallace doesn't lead with a weak Pokémon. So what's going to be? A win? A loss? Either way, this will be the last battle. The champion is in front of us. Let's see how it ends. Wailord is first, and if I want to try to P-Pistol it, it makes sense to lead with Staryu, since it resists all of its moves except for Double Edge. I have a good idea on how to do this, but Wailord's behavior can be, let's say, inconsistent. At full HP I am out of kill range, so Rain Dance is not something I'm surprised about. But I wasn't 100% sure about it, so I had to go for the substitute. 86 HP mean Wailord could use Double Edge as well as Water Spout. All this Staryu has to do is resist long enough to consume as many Water Spout PP as possible. So seeing Double Edge was kind of disappointing. Protect will help me a ton, of course. I just have to be careful to use it when I'm in kill range, or at least it's not raining. Every time I suspect Wailord is about to use Rain Dance, that's when I can set up my defenses or a substitute. All this matchup was me trying to figure out the best way to live another turn. So there were crits I had to dodge, risks I had to take, guesses I had to make in order to increase my chances of victory. And I know that a P-Pistol isn't anything exciting, but believe me when I say I was on the edge of my seat through all of it. Because this Staryu was performing. Like, really performing. I was planning to use Staryu, Aron and Wailmer to P-Pistol this Wailord, but somehow this Staryu single-handedly managed to do it. Not having to use Aron might be game-changing. With only 5 HP left and Wailord out of moves, it's time to switch to Wailmer and use Growl. At this point, the only thing that might go wrong is the rage setup. Wailord is stronger than Shelgon, and we've seen how dangerous a struggle crit could have been against Drake. But I have an idea. Wailmer has a ton of HP, so if I let it die to Wailord's struggle, there will be a massive total recoil. And once I've done that, it's time for Staryu to make the ultimate sacrifice. I hate to do this after such a great performance, and I know it's completely out of the blue, but it had to go for a greater good. Now let's send out a duo. All hopes are on you, double-headed bird. What you should know about this final matchup is that a struggle crit can deal from 91 to 108 damage. So basically I can only tank one safely. Still, 104 HP don't worry me too much, so for now I'll go for another rage. And thanks to all that recoil damage, Wailord will now be healed with a full restore. Perfect timing, a free turn to use rest is exactly what I needed. Let's repeat the same process. What I'm aiming for is a +4 attack, so as of now I need one last rage to be all set up. Will Wailord get the high roll crit and doom the run at the very end? No, it won't. Okay, did I just win? Here's the first return. Oh, wait, I didn't use agility. At level 58, there's no way I cannot speed Tentacruel. But maybe. Let me stop the video for a moment. 111 speed. Thanks to the level up and the badge boost, I had just became faster than Tentacruel. That's why I was happy to not use Aaron, and that's the reason Staryu had to go. I needed the full experience to reach level 59. And now we win. Yeah, there's nothing able to contain this duo. Doesn't matter how bulky are the Pokémon in one team. And I know the Gyarados will come out last, so I don't have to worry about Intimidate until the very end. And even then, Gyarados' defense is not the best, so it won't survive. Well, I hope this Pokémon League wasn't too cheesy for your taste. I certainly enjoyed it. The champion is defeated and, hard to believe, I was able to beat this challenge on the very first attempt. What can I say? I had a lot of fun with this run. This video had a lot of work put into it, and it might just be the longest I've ever released on the channel, so for those still watching, well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And special thanks to all those who stick around despite my terrible upload frequency. You can expect to see a Whismur and a Beautifly solo run in the hopefully near future. If you want to help the channel, consider doing the usual comment, like, whatever stuff. If not, that's okay too. For now, nothing else to say, so you have a nice day. And as for me, back to theory crafting.